15th President James Buchanan holds the distinction of being the only president to have never been married. Other presidents, such as Thomas Jefferson and Martin Van Buren, were unmarried while in the White House, but had been married at some point during their lives. Early in life, Buchanan was engaged. At 28, he met Anne Caroline Coleman at a ball, and a year later the two were engaged. Coleman's father was a wealthy iron manufacturer, and her brother-in-law a successful judge and politician. During the engagement, the two spent most of the time apart, as Buchanan focused heavily on his law and political work. People around were skeptical of the arrangement, believing that Buchanan was simply marrying Coleman for her money, and there were rumors that Buchanan was having an affair. Coleman wasn't unaware of these suspicions. Late in 1819, she broke off the engagement. Just days later, she unexpectedly died. Buchanan wanted to attend the funeral, but her father wouldn't allow it. Quote, "I feel happiness has fled from me forever," he said of Coleman's passing. At no point did he court another woman. There were rumors of affairs. Some believe he had relations with James K. Polk's widow, Sarah Childress Polk. Buchanan had a connection with Rose O'Neal Greenhow. Greenhow was a prominent Washington socialite and widow. On several occasions, he was seen leaving her residence. Greenhow had made many political connections, so it's possible the relationship was purely business or a friendship. Some suspect that Buchanan was asexual, hinted by the lack of visible affection between him and his fiancée. This also aligns with the suspicion that he was only marrying her for her money. A recent theory is that Buchanan was homosexual. The theory stems from his close relationship with another bachelor, William Rufus King. King and Buchanan lived together for 13 years, all the way until King's death. The two attended functions together, shared mannerisms, and Buchanan even called their relationship a communion. Both were known to be eccentric, effeminate, and exceptionally well-mannered. This earned them mockery from Andrew Jackson, who called them Miss Nancy and Aunt Fancy. Governor Aaron Brown would refer to King as the better half of Buchanan. It's also speculated that Buchanan gained his lenient views on the South from King. When King was away on trips, Buchanan seemed profoundly lonely. In one letter to a friend, Buchanan wrote, quote, "I am now solitary and alone, having no companion in the house with me. I have gone a-wooing to several gentlemen, but have not succeeded with any one of them. I feel it is not good for a man to be alone. I should be astonished to find myself married to some old maid, who can nurse me when I am sick, provide good dinners for me when I am well, and not expect from me any very ardent or romantic affection." Buchanan and King had also contemplated running for office as president and vice president. Eventually, both would achieve these roles, but not how they expected. King would take up the position of Franklin Pierce's running mate, an offer which Buchanan had turned down. Following Pierce's victory, King served as vice president, but only for a little more than a month in 1853. At age 67, he suddenly died of tuberculosis. His vice presidency would be the third shortest, only topped by John Tyler's and Andrew Johnson's. Buchanan later described King as, quote, "among the best, the purest and most consistent public men I have known." Many correspondences between King and Buchanan were destroyed by their families. The surviving letters show, quote, "the affection of a special friendship, but nothing overtly indicating a romantic relationship." Though the theories of James Buchanan being homosexual have become popular, some historians remain very doubtful. At the time, it wasn't even uncommon for two bachelors to live together. It also wasn't uncommon for men to use flowery language in describing purely platonic relationships. Some suggest, rather, that his lifelong bachelorhood was perhaps due to feelings of guilt over Coleman's death. Also suggested is that Buchanan may have felt that his personality was not compatible with a married life. Buchanan would spend the final decade of his life busy. He served as president from 1857 to 1861. After leaving the White House, he faced scathing criticism for his handling of the national conflicts that ultimately led to the Civil War. Some even believed he secretly sided with the South, and they considered him a traitor. Up until his death in 1868, he focused on rehabilitating his image. Though there are still debates as to the reason for his lifelong bachelorhood, it is agreed that there is simply not enough evidence to make any decisive conclusion. To support regular uploads from this channel, consider subscribing and donating to Resyndicated on Patreon. Donations from $2 to $15 a month help towards more frequent uploads. Patreon link in the description below.